Wednesday, April 3rd, it is now 6:01 PM. Town Council Budget Public Hearing, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. Jay, will you lead us in the prayer?
We ask for the wisdom to make good decisions, to speak with confidence and listen with compassion, and work together to create a better way of life for the people of West Warwick. Amen.
Amen. Jay, will you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilman Dennison.
Here.
Councilman Lichardi.
Here.
Councilman Messier.
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. Public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2025 municipal budget.
Mark, you want to start off?
Certainly. Over the last couple of weeks, the town council led our public workshops, which started the process of reviewing and vetting our proposed fiscal 2025 budgets. Our department heads continue to be considerate of the town's fiscal constraints and the fluctuating status of the economy while drafting requests that support the continuation of the services expected by our community and provide for the upgrading of infrastructure necessary to offer those services safely and more efficiently. Again, I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of our finance director, Kristen Benoit, in producing this proposal and keeping us on a reasonable and conservative path. Our recent budget processes continue to be affected by the uncertainty of a finalized state budget, the national economy, inflation fluctuations, and rising supply costs. How these all factor into our 2025 fiscal year revenue and expenditure planning is a work in process. Tonight, we start the public hearing process, which allows the council to review everything and make proposals for additions or subtractions or changes. Some key points for the proposal before you are the one that I presented. The total budget increase is approximately $7.2 million. That's inclusive of $2.1 million in municipal expenses, $5 million in school state aid pass-through appropriation, and no increase to the school department local appropriation. The levy increase as proposed was 1.22% or slightly more than $800,000. The approximate tax rate increase was 2.35%, and that was expected to fluctuate as the tangible annual returns come back that were due on March 15th. I'll speak to that and a few other things in a moment. Funds are reserved for anticipated collective bargaining, salary adjustments for unionized staff, and salary adjustments for non-union personnel. Capital expenditure request total $436,000. In addition to that, we also plan on proposing the final amount of money we have for American Rescue Plan funds that are available to us through the end of this calendar year, and also aggressively seeking federal, state, and private grants and aid. We have fully transitioned into the employee retirement system of Rhode Island. The rates provided by ERSRI have been applied to all the pensionable salary types per department, and the legacy plan employee rates remain the same as this fiscal year. A 7% decrease in our health care working rates was applied, and our transition to the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust for Healthcare Management has been successful. The decrease to workers' comp is due to our experience modification dropping again for favorable claims experience. The tax collection rate in this proposal was set at 97.0%, and there is no planned use of fund balance in this proposed budget. Since the one that was provided to you that has town manager's proposal, we have received some favorable numbers that I mentioned during our most recent public workshop, and the finance director will probably, I would suggest, propose immediately when I'm done before you officially start to accept those new numbers, because they may affect what you want to add or deduct as we move through tonight and again on April 9th.
Any questions for Mark? Kristen?
So as you know, we had the trust let us know that I had planned a 7% increase in the rates for health and dental, but it ended up being, only 5.18 for health and a decrease of 2.02 for dental. So, there'll be a savings in the various department health lines of 59,328, a savings in the various departmental dental lines of 12,958. The workers' comp line is going to see a savings of 9,000. The retiree health and general government is going to see a savings of 160,669. The retiree dental is going to see a savings of 21,336. So for a grand total of 263,291. There was also another line that we were going to reduce in consulting and general government by 15,000. And then I was going to also propose the increase of the wastewater treatment facility fee by $5,794. So those total 284,085 to the positive for the budget. So I don't know if you want to vote line by line,
Is it to what, 280?
284, comma, 085.
I move we accept those changes as outlined.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nice have it.
So if nothing else changes tonight, if we left right now, what would that mean as far as, we talked about, because that's what everybody's concerned about, the tax rate. What would that change mean tonight, Kristen?
I believe it was going to bring it to just under 2%, but let me just confirm that because I want to make sure. That is. Nine, 26, 10, 21%. It'll be just about exactly 2%.
And how many millions per 1%?
How many millions?
It's usually, I usually get it by the 1% mark.
To get down to 1% would be. Let's see, 1%. That would be 18.50. 27. 31.68. We would have to cut an additional 610,000.
Which equals 8%, correct?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so 1.2 million would be the 2%. All right, thank you for that update.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Mark, for your update. So obviously, we've,
Did that include the 23,000 we talked about at the end of last?
For the what?
The community engagement?
That's
That's
in here.
it is in there.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
put it in 1090 as a,
Thank you.
just a line.
Okay.
so we've had two meetings already. We've gone pretty much line by line for the council. The next two meetings are open to the public. Also for the council to make any changes, we can vote on it. And then our second public meeting would be, would we vote on the second time around at the end of that meeting?
I think
Or,
we complete, we complete voting on all the changes. I give you, I think, the appropriation, and then the following meeting is when we have the resolution to send it to the voters.
to the voters, okay.
Yes.
So that's our timeline. So I'll start off with the council. I know you got 31 tabs that if anybody wants to go over anything specific, you can go over specific and then we can open up to the public. I don't want to go line by line for the council. but
No.
The public has. Anyone?
People have been working on these budgets for a long time. A lot of thought and effort has gone into them. I think they absolutely do take into consideration the employees, but also the taxpayers. So, and Kristen, you've sort of shepherded everyone into doing that. So thank you for doing that. I don't see any glaring changes, to be honest with you. I'm comfortable with what's been presented.
I'll go council person by council person. Jay, do you have anything? Jay?
I do. Not, again, to use the word glare, not anything glaring, but I read this 2 and 3 times. And it's minor things. I have like 4 or 5, so do you want me to just
Go ahead.
Yeah,
go
throw
all of
'em out.
them, or do you
Yeah.
want to discuss one by one, or
Throw 'em
nothing?
out.
Throw 'em out.
All right, what as I brought up at the last meeting, when I believe it was the turnout gear for Chief Barone, just to move that from the operating to the capital, only because that would help him. It's fine, if he doesn't want it, that's fine, but just, that would help him if he has to buy more now, based on price and availability.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, I think that is a great idea to be able to move that to capital so that we can go over the fiscal year in buying the necessary protective equipment for the members.
And while you're up here.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Not
I
so
just-
not
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
fast.
And I compare this to when I first got on the council and there were issues at the police station, and I know, I think I took a walkthrough with Mark at the time. And the one thing I really just, it bothers me personally, if you're working in an environment and there's water coming in the walls, it's time to just, let's fix it. And the conversation I had with one of the detectives was, we're just used to it at this point. It's never a top priority. And it always stuck with me. And to see this on there, that the bathrooms need to be fixed. And I apologize, I meant to actually tour the fire stations, and the week just got away from me. But if they're in this bad of shape, it's not about cosmetics anymore. It's about health, it's about safety. And, I feel this way with any building that we're working in. When I first got on, I heard Public Works, the roof leaks on all the mechanics' tools. It's like, to me, it's a no-brainer. We have the money. We could find the money. Just get it done and fix it. So if this is so my point with this is, we have money in the capital. And I'm not quite sure where we stand. I know there's a lot left in ARPA, but not as much as compared to the 11 million we got. So is this something that we could use ARPA money for rather than put it in the budget?
We can use ARPA money. However, we only have a hair more than $1 million left. And we have
Is that earmarked already?
a significant portion of it. We have our co-share of the 1.5 million that we just got for the wastewater congressional spending. That I should have that finalized hopefully next week. So I'll probably propose using ARPA for that at the meeting on the 23rd. And then we have some capital items that we've deflected last year, specifically IT infrastructure for servers and a chunk of desktops that need to be rotated through. That will use up, as well as a couple other minor little things that we're looking at, whether it be Clompton Playground, the Civic Center Plaza, to try to tidy up the loose ends at both
So
of
there's no-
those facilities. So
No.
I'd say
Which is,
probably
I
not, but,
understand, there's only
but
so
the,
much.
the
to go
chief
around.
has been good about, last year, there's some capital that went in for some station improvements. And I know he mentioned getting ready, and I don't know if it was so much as the bathrooms are deplorable, or more so the fact that the bathrooms and rest facilities are not adequate for dual sex
Yeah,
staff. So, I think that's a kind of a plan in progress. He had money last year, asked for it again this year. I cut it slightly, as we try to find some grants to supplement that, but that's definitely a priority to do that work. Obviously, Station Two is gonna get some, negative attention.
Well, it just needs to be updated and fixed, bottom line, you know? Um, With that, I have a question again about, it's fire station, ARPA, you mentioned sewer. Because the sewer is and this affects this question right here. Because the sewer is a regional facility, and every city and town got ARPA money, what I would like to do personally is request a percentage of ARPA money from other cities and towns that contribute to the wastewater facility. Because to me, it's in West Warwick, I get it, but it also services all these other areas. So I think they should be somewhat responsible, as little as it may be, for contributing to that as well.
There are some parts of the work that we're proposing that is, the way it was described to me, is considered maintenance. So that burden falls on us. With some of the emergency work that we did, that was sent out and we received money from other communities. Like the bond that we're proposing getting has the distribution of the percentages by those other communities for them to plan, and we sent that to them in advance, or if it hasn't gone out yet, it will before the end of the month, so they can plan for their next fiscal years. At this stage of the game, considering that our work has been planned maintenance, I don't think it's appropriate to go and ask them for ARPA funds, especially since they're all in the same boat we are. They only have 8 months left to use it. So many of them had it planned. When they first got it, they designated, I just happened and proposed to you folks that we kind of not designate it all at the beginning to kind of see how things played out and use it where we thought the priorities were at those given times.
I don't agree with you, but it's okay.
And just, I think when you started, you mentioned $11 million. We had 8 and change. We didn't have 11 million, did we?
8 and change.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, no, I
Oh,
just
my
don't
fault.
want to.
Because it was under 10, we could do whatever we.
That's
we
exactly
wanted.
right. It was
Yeah.
very, it would have been.
You got 11 million.
It would have been.
A lot of money, still a lot of money.
Yeah.
So is the plan, are we going, so to me, I think we should just fix the fire stations. Is that going to happen, or?
I would like to do that. Although I think I have about 170 already built up. You know, it's going to take a few $100,000 to do all the changes and even more than that to get some of it. So, but we will be able to make improvements in the stations with that money.
Thank you.
Did you propose any changes there?
Any changes in,
Yeah, I'm not sure what just
Finances?
happened.
It looked like it was a change from.
Turnout
moving
gear.
Yes.
90,000 out of fire into capital.
yes, it's the same amount of money that we're working.
Do you want to vote on it now, or do you want to wait till he goes through his old list?
Wait a minute, is that really what it was, or was just your change? Yeah, what were you suggesting?
That we move the amount of money that we have in turnout gear
The whole
out of the
thing,
fire budget into the capital, yes.
the
whole thing,
90,000, okay,
Which doesn't affect the bottom line at all, but I think it's easier for the chief to work.
okay, fine.
Have a motion?
I'll make the motion to do that.
Motion seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. You got more?
Yeah, I did, a couple.
Okay.
One DPW with the amount of $250,000 for the trucks. Do we want to put a plan in place to get one truck this year, one truck next year, one truck the year after, or 2 this year, 1 next year? So it's not all in the same budget?
Jeff, you want to speak to that?
Good evening. I would not be opposed to splitting it up like that, 2 this year, 1 and 1. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all if it's something that works and it helps everything out. I wouldn't be opposed to it at all.
I think we just want to keep in mind that what they're losing in trucks this year, this would replace those. I know the director has an aggressive plan to take a couple of the other trucks and take them apart and sandblast them and fix them up, but they might be trucks, hopefully not, but we might be losing other trucks in future years. So I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
we keep what we need.
Okay.
I know we don't need a truck for every driver we have available, but just make sure we have what we need.
Correct.
What's your life expectancy of a truck? Brand new.
Brand new, if it's maintained correctly, taken care of, we can get 20, 22 years out of it.
20, 22 years?
Yeah.
So to me, and this is just me, anybody else can, that to me should not be a yearly cost in the budget. Maybe we use that out of the surplus and buy those trucks.
But you gotta keep
Because
in
if you're gonna
mind,
get 22 years, but I have a tough time putting it in a budget year to year or whatever it may be. You might not put it in next year, but again, if we put that 250,000 in the tax now, it's there next year, right? So, you know, I've never been here 16 years. I've never seen the taxes go down. So I'm gonna say next year, we're gonna be asking for somewhat the same money. So, you know, we need a new roof. That's a 30-year item. You know, I think that's something that should come out of a piggy bank, not a taxpayer's pocket. But if you need the day-to-day operations, that should come out of the taxpayer's pocket, the day-to-day. But that's just my opinion.
just keep in mind too, so you guys are all understand where we're coming from. One six-wheeler, okay, a big truck, for the layman's term, is roughly about 250 to 260,000 for one. Okay, and there's probably a year and a half wait on it, because you gotta build it, you gotta spec it out, you gotta build it. We've talked about this before, 1 tons, in my opinion, are the way to go. For the money that we're asking for, we can get 4 of them pretty easily. Again, we have done some, I've worked with the sewer plant and stuff like that. I've done some stuff. We will only able to get 2 trucks this year, and you did it the way you wanted to. It wouldn't be detrimental, but we do have to replace the 4 trucks that we're losing for sure. We're losing 4 pieces of safety equipment for the winter. We will have to replace them. And there's no way they can go back on the road whatsoever. And they're 20, 21 years old. So they've gone through their,
So if you're talking for the winter, you're talking snowplow? Is
correct.
that what you? So I'm trying to think outside the box.
Mhm.
If you lose a truck that's designated just for snow plowing, correct?
Mhm.
Why can't we get a private to do that when there's a storm? Because we could have 1 storm, we could have 10 storms, we don't know.
Well,
But
privates are few and far between now because of the insurance, and you're counting on Mother Nature. So you're putting a truck together that's costing you, by the time you're done, $70,000, $80,000 for a truck, plow, insurance, so on and so forth. And I may or may not call you because we don't get snow. So now you waste all that money waiting on Mother Nature. Last year, I only,
they get a plow for West Warwick. If they're in the
well,
plowing
that's the
business,
thing,
then
you
they're gonna
have to be, you sign a contract with us, you plow for us.
No, I get it, but
So I only had 5 last year.
Okay.
That's,
Doesn't help that other communities are paying.
right, a lot more money.
$30 more an hour than we are.
So I could only,
so why don't we do that then? Why don't we up and match every other community? We're still gonna save a ton of money.
and then the only problem with that is, and I'm not saying no to that, the only problem with that is I could call you, you've agreed to plow with me, I call you now, I don't want to come in now. I don't feel like coming in this storm. You don't have to come in.
All right, so why don't we put
It's,
a clause in the contract?
it's not as easy as or they break down. Now they're gone for,
Yeah, no, I get it.
There's a-
I understand the whole thing.
there's a whole,
I'm
the
not sure
vendors that I
that's
had are very good. I don't have any complaints with them, but it's,
I'm not sure that's a money saver either. It might be, if you're looking at it in terms of a year, yeah, it's probably a decent money saver, but if you're talking about 20 years of hiring privates versus the 4 additional vehicles, am I wrong?
yeah,
It'll be
yeah, by
much
the time
cheaper
you're
in the long
done.
run.
Because on an average storm, let's just say at the price we have, excuse me, at the rate we're charging right now, we're giving them for a private. You get a 20-hour storm, 16-hour storm, you're looking at $5,000 probably by the time they're done paying that, minus taxes.
For how many? How many?
For one,
For one.
for one.
So,
And
So
our,
times 5.
and our own employees are probably more dependable than a private.
I'm just thinking, it's their truck, it's their,
Yeah.
the wear and tear on
Now,
their vehicle.
Again,
They break down, they have to fix it. We have our own mechanics. We have, so when something bad happens, and I can agree with you that it could be a savings short term, but and I know how people take their roads being plowed as
They want the roads.
they
plowed.
want it done,
Of course.
right? And we get those phone calls when it's not done. If it's a
Well,
private and we have no control, we have no discipline, we have no control,
The
we
efficiency
have,
of it, When you have a guy that's been out there and he knows a certain route, and some of these roads here are very difficult, and
Correct.
if you've done the route enough times, you just know the specific, how close to get.
You
the
know
curb.
where manholes are, what not to hit, what,
Unfortunately, if you happen to get privates to come back year after year, then maybe some of them do know, but if it's a new guy,
right.
it's not even the fault of his own, but it's
Absolutely.
getting used to that route.
And I don't disagree with you as far as a 6-wheel that's only for plowing snow. I don't disagree with any of that. I'm a big advocate for 6-wheelers buying used because they sit 6 months out of the year, 5, 6 months out of the year. 1-tons, they're used every single day. Gotta buy them brand new. You can't buy those used. They're used every single day. Big trucks for just plowing snow, you don't need it, in my personal opinion. You don't need a $250,000 truck to plow snow. You just don't need that.
Jeff, have you explored leasing versus purchasing?
Gonna mention that.
It was something that I briefly brought up to you at one point with and I'll tell you how I brought it up, and it was the only way I could think of it at the time. Kristen may have a better way, was our, winter, not our major winter things, but our storm services budget. Keep that in the budget at the line item it's at, I think it's $50,000, and use that as a lease or a lease purchase amount, so you're paying $3,000 a month or whatever it is, but the money's there, it's already in the budget. She might have a better way of doing it. That was just something I thought of off the cuff when we were.
Our last lease purchase we did, I believe it's gonna be paid in 2026 will be the last payment. So, if we reduced this time and we find next year when we're doing 2026 that we need more, we can always do the lease purchase knowing that this one's gonna be paid off. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a-
and that made sense then, made a lot of sense then, because interest rates were as low as they
Right.
are. And they might come down between now and next year,
Exactly,
so.
yeah.
So you're asking for 2 new and 2 used.
What the thought process was is I could get 2 new 1-tons, and I could buy either a 6-wheeler and a 10-wheeler, or 2 6-wheelers, used 6-wheelers. That would cover, to buy a used truck and to do it right, you're gonna spend anywhere between $50,000 to $70,000 to get something decent. You can't go and spend $5,000 and
Right.
expect it to do too much of anything. So, and we can get the 1-tons fully equipped for about 74,000. Roughly.
So if we were to suggest, and you also are going to use the sewer, is that right? Don't you have a vehicle coming from them?
Yes, yep, that is
Yeah.
true. But keep in mind with that, which I am going to use it, but we have to equip it with a plow.
Yep.
I have a sander.
Yep.
I just have to equip it with a plow. And what we're trying to do, to be totally honest with you, between Terry, Glenn, myself, Kevin, is we're trying to figure out if we can take a frame off one of the trucks we're gonna be we're taking off the road, retrofit it with a little work to fit that, so all we're gonna have to buy is controls. I can't promise you that's gonna work.
Yep.
But we're working on it. One way or another, we'll have a plow on that truck. It's just a matter of whether we have to go brand new or we can go with what we have.
So I forgot what your original statement was. Yes.
I'm looking at budget wise too.
Yep.
And that's why we have these
Yep.
discussions. So, so you're asking with 250. All right.
Yeah.
Can you do it with 125? If we cut it in half? What can you do with 125? I'm just throwing a number out.
All right, I sent the town manager prices on 650s, okay, which is a little step below a six-wheeler, just a little below a six-wheeler. And I can have those delivered fully equipped for 113. That's one of them. Okay, I can get the 1 tons fully equipped for like roughly 74,000, give or take a few dollars. So you're looking at what, 140 for two, or I can get one for the 113. And what'd you say, 120?
I'm just throwing a number out, Jeff. I'm
Yeah.
just- I'm
No,
trying
I
to
know, I
look
understand.
good.
I'm just trying to think, what I want to do is I want to use the money the most effective way possible that you're willing to give me. So if I can get one new six-wheeler and equip the 10-wheeler, okay, now I have 2 trucks this year that you guys were talking about. And then if we did 2 next year, 2 the following year, however you want to do it, I'll work with you any way I can, but I do have to, I have to have something to replace
no,
the
I
4 that I'm losing. There's just no two ways about it. Just to cover the routes we have 16 snowplow routes.
I'm just looking to see if we can spread this out over a 2, maybe 3-year period.
Right.
And I think Kristen's idea of actually, reducing this amount this year with the idea and the notion that we will actually enter into a new lease
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
multiple trucks perhaps next year. Yeah.
I'm willing to work obviously with you guys any way we can. Like I said, my goal is to make sure, obviously, public safety is number one. I want to make sure all my snowplow routes are covered, and go as efficient as we can.
Should be.
That's, and whatever we have to do it, I'll make it work. It's just, I'm here to work with you, so.
We reduce that line from 250 to 150. That gives them the option to buy 2 1-tons or plus have 10 grand to maybe outfit something.
Yeah, we're gonna need, that would work, and I'll tell you why, just because if I have to buy controllers for the 10-wheeler, not sure what the cost on that is gonna be. I have to get with Glenn and we have to figure that out, and obviously retrofitting that 10-wheeler is gonna be a cost to it. So, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with
Are
that.
you comfortable with 150 for this year with the understanding we're committed to
Yes, I am.
looking at a leased option next year for whatever else?
And just so we're on the same page, you guys are leaving it up to me to choose whether a six-wheeler or 2 1-tons, is that correct? You leave me with that option, or?
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
up to
150.
you.
All right.
You gotta come up with.
All
two
right, I just
lots.
want to make sure that, I don't want to go against what you're saying, that's all I'm saying. I just want to make sure we're on the same
Do
page, that's all.
150 to get. to make
Whatever
your-
I can
you're the
get.
Director to make
Okay.
your
I just want to make sure, that's all.
administrative decision.
Okay.
Want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to reduce the capital request from DPW from 250 to 250,000 to 150,000.
Second.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
You know?
Yep.
So while you're up here, so your budget says you requested $30,000 for a mower and a vacuum,
Correct.
and the manager had eliminated $15,000, so
Yep.
so essentially one of the two. Now, is this possible? I don't know where we stand with this, but we have $15,000 in revenue coming in from the Parks Department for money that's generated from the league.
Yeah,
or
last
field
year we had
rentals or whatever.
15 exactly, last year.
So anything over 15, with the renovations we did with all the fields and the new pricing we came up with, my guess is that we would generate more than the 15.
That's
Is
the
that-
plan.
Is that possible? Put that money in an account that stays in parks. So for example, we generate $22,000. 15,000 goes in back to the first 15 goes back to the budget as revenue, which is the revenue we plan. And the rest of that stays in a restricted fund for parks. That way Jeff can say, all right, we have this money, plus we have some extra money we've saved. We can order a piece of equipment at your choice based on what you would need. Is that an option?
I believe that would have to be done separately by resolution. That would have to be by resolution, to like we did with the fire rescue fees. The fact that we divert a portion of the fire rescue fees into the special fund was done by resolution, detailing every year what percentage. So, I mean, if that's what you guys want and it's done by resolution, then yeah, we can do whatever.
And I feel that way only because you know, when we put out some grants and Mark wrote a great grant for Crompton Playground, it's very important to use that as some type of income we know is coming in, even if you don't use it the first year, it might be something where, it would help as we, not so much of a match, but over time it might be a match, but it's really good to show that we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we have this money that we know is coming in every year. That people can look at that and say, all right, you know what, we don't have to worry about anything, we'll give you this much money. So I don't know if that'd be something, I'm just throwing this out there, I'm just thinking,
Again,
that'd be
it's,
something you'd be into.
yeah, I mean, it definitely would work out in the favor of the Parks Department, in my opinion. You know, to buy things we need, yeah. I don't have any objections to it.
Probably for another meeting, but.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything's
I
related.
think that's
though.
good.
I would like, I honestly, I like your idea, but I also would like, once we get some updates on certain items in our executive session, you know, there's always been a proposal of, you know, taking some of that and moving it towards the recreation, considering that is for recreation.
Right.
So, you know, once we get an update on what's going on, you know, we can determine that if we want. Instead of taking it out of the revenue coming in, at least we know, you know, that land was donated for recreational purposes. And
Right.
if we are gonna make some sort of revenue on it, if we come to a conclusion, that maybe we take a percentage of that revenue and put it towards parks.
That as well.
I know, obviously with the
Well,
park,
I'm only bringing this up because now's the time to talk about it, and it was in the
No,
budget.
no,
So it's like, you know, because if I bring it up in a month from now, it's, all right, we've already talked about the budget, we have to wait till next year, so I don't want to do.
Right. I did cut that in anticipation of, at the appropriate time, coming up with the appropriate resolution to figure out how to best designate dedicated money. Because I thought it was important, especially since we adjusted some fees for the use of the fields, since we had such a heavy investment in them. I think it's received much better when people are expected to pay more, that they see the results of what they're paying for. So reinvesting and having the funds to reinvest to do whatever, whether it's a new mower, whether it's to upgrade a bathroom or paint concessions or dugouts or whatever it is, that may be a little bit outside of daily operations. To have that resource available is important.
leave that one alone for now, further
Well, are
future
we in it-
discussion.
Is it 15 or 30? That's another.
I believe we, if, the,
Town manager cut it
Cut
to
it to
15, and I
15.
think
Yeah.
that's what we agreed upon.
Yeah.
Now, the 15, it depends on what he wants to use it for.
Right. Okay.
yeah, that's,
Is that it?
No, I got a couple.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time on this in the last week, so, so it came to, one of the questions that, comments you had brought up at the last meeting, and I'm an advocate for, is to adjusting the council stipend and to increasing that. And I just use a number of, to make it simple, of $15,000 divided by 5, which equals $3,000. And it is very strange, I know Jay brought it up, it's weird to talk about it, but I'm looking at this as a position that's in the budget and their numbers. And it would be 15, but as the sewer admin fees are adjusted, that money, there's 5,000 or so that would be paid for by that.
Yeah,
Right.
it would increase. I think that was, if we brought it to 20%.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fair, which is very fair. And so I'm advocating for an increase in that.
And I think we talked about it lengthy, and I know I threw out 10, you threw out 15. We threw out, put it as a separate ballot question. You know, but so what is the council's feeling?
I don't think it should be on the ballot. And it's not about us, about the council at all. It's the fact that it's part of this packet. It's in the budget, like everything else that we have. And it should go along with everything else that we have. And if we start spreading this out like this, then where do we stop? So that's just my opinion.
So I thought long and hard about this as well, and I think while I haven't changed my mind and I still don't at this time support it, I also don't think it should be an item on the ballot. I just think, you know, if you do that once, you're gonna do it over and over and over. You can't take that back once you put it out there.
My only concern is, and I know Bert has been an advocate for a town council raise, I think numerous times, since he's definitely one of the guys who stands up and says that. I want to point out, the town council has not seen a stipend increase in over 40 years. So, you know, we talk about increases in cost of living and whatever. The council has not seen a stipend increase. You know, I'm proposing 10, which is 2,000 a year per council person. I know Jay proposed 15,000. He made it easy. I mean, but
With 5,000 offset by sewer admin. So it's
5,000.
really not at 15, it's really
Yeah.
at 10.
and mine would be a 5, so, you know, be $1,000 offset to the taxpayers per se. But
Would be 1,000, it'd be 5,000.
I haven't, I mean, Mary Beth?
Yeah, no, I haven't changed my position. I don't feel comfortable if we're cutting other departments and we're telling Jeff that he can't have his leaf vac or blower or, I struggle with it. I understand it, I get it, but, and I hadn't really thought about what you were saying about putting it on the ballot. I would prefer to have it on the ballot, just so there's no, we snuck it into the budget, you know, that this whole budget and all the work that's gone into this budget would be voted down just because of that. I know it sounds preposterous, but you never know. It certainly would be a sticking point, and as I said, I'm just not comfortable if we're taking things away from other departments, that we would ask for more money. So that's just me.
My method to my madness, well, Jay, go ahead, you can then.
Well, I mean, I said it last meeting, is it's like the position as a whole, I would support it. It's tough for me to support it myself. But, I think that we just put it as a separate ballot item, then and let everybody else decide. That's my opinion on that. And I mean, I don't care whether it's the 10 or the 15. I mean,
My method to this, and I just want to point out why I said put it on the ballot. We all kind of agreed, it's kind of weird giving ourselves a raise, right? Even though it's probably well-deserved, whatever it is, the position itself,
Position,
not
it's
us,
the
the
position.
position. But ultimately, the taxpayer and the voter put us here. Okay? So I want to leave it to them if they think we deserve a raise.
yeah, and that's why I agree, because I feel like if I was on the other side, I would support the raise over here, but it's tough for me to support it this way if the people say yes.
If the position deserves a raise, that's why I want to put that on as a separate, put it in as a budget item. I mean, we gotta put the money in somewhere so that way there, if it gets voted, but if they vote yes, that way they, you know, whether it's 10, because it might only, it's only,
Truth is,
Again-
it wouldn't impact the tax rate.
Well,
Right, exactly.
But
That there,
but that's not the point.
but
yeah.
also,
Yeah.
it can also be put on there on the question that, that it's, you know, you could be more clarifying, saying 5,000 or 10,000 is coming from tax revenue and 5,000 is coming from sewer department admin fees, or whatever the number is, right? And so you can make that clear to the taxpayer too, that it's really like, it's only a 10,000, not a 15,000, or 5,000, or a 10,000. Ultimately, it's all comes from the same pots, but we just gotta be clear on what we're doing. But that's just, I just looked at it as, you know, I know you and I have spoken in probably hours on this and over the past year. And I think, you know, ultimately, you know, after really thinking about it, I think the voter should be able to tell us whether or not, if they feel that we deserve the position deserves a stipend increase. Now, remember when this council's before us, and council used to only have one meeting a month. Sewer commission came in, became a second council meeting. And then we have building committees and you name it, you know, we're all on something, right? Sewer commissions and whatever. The position has become much larger than what it was entailed 20 years ago. So, and again, I just want to point out, there has been no stipend increase on a council level, over 40 years. In fact, there was a reduction. They used to get, healthcare. And that was reduced in the mid-90s, somewhere along the line, Tim. So that was taken early 90s. So, you know, just, you know, and I know Jay and Sarah, you did a lot of homework with other communities, and thank you for providing that. So,
Well, I was ask Sarah's opinion on putting as a separate ballot item. Is that something that you've seen anywhere? Is that like something that's like a separate, like, budget item question as a whole separate ballot?
Yeah, you guys can put whatever you want on there. I mean, I would defer to Tim on that one, but.
Absolutely. And the issue is obviously your compensation is not in the home rule charter. The compensation was by way of an ordinance probably back, I want to say sometime around 1986, before even the first charter was in play. So that's how far back the $5,000 a year goes. And back when they put it into play, it was astronomical, and people like, my God, I can't believe they're going to pay a councilman $5,000 a year. But again, that's 40 years ago. Inflation alone, you'd be much higher than what you're seeking. But if you want to be completely transparent and you want the citizens to know what's going on, you would allow them to vote on it. Now, do you have to? Absolutely not. You could put it through as an ordinance. You could put it through, but my only suggestion would be is it's very difficult, like you said, to vote for yourselves.
Yeah.
If you're voting for the position,
Agreed.
you might be better off putting it out 2 years or 4 years, so it wouldn't really, it's not really going to affect you unless you got reelected. That's just something to think about.
It does also say that no increase in salary shall take effect until after the next biennial election of the town council. So I don't.
Which is in
November.
November.
Which is November, so I take effect after that.
All right, so ballot? Or no, ballot?
If you're gonna do the ballot for this year, you have to get moving on that because
So,
again,
so,
Yeah, what would be the
Secretary of
date?
State.
What would you need a date for the,
Probably 30 days before. Get the Board of Elections.
but you gotta get the question done correctly, you
oh,
gotta
but
get the printing done.
yeah, but wouldn't it be the same process? Wouldn't that just be a separate question when you're giving them the yes or no, right? So we just have to get it at the same time as that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You've done it
But you'd
before
have
on
to be
other
drawn.
items for the all-day referendum vote, so there's
Yeah.
a
It's not
patent and
difficult.
procedure.
I mean, the last
involved.
few years-
we did the bond,
Yep.
Right.
and we did the
It's one
sale, the
question.
sale of the land,
Right.
yes, yeah,
So we've had a couple, I guess.
yes. Yep.
If you're gonna go with a ballot issue for the taxpayer to vote on, the only thing you're gonna have to decide is what year will it take effect?
and I'm gonna take a quick poll on the 15,000 over 10,000. Jay?
It doesn't matter to me. I brought 15s. I think I went 3 times 5. I could do 2 times 5. It doesn't matter. So I'll stick with 15.
Mark? If you had to choose one? I know you're not in favor of it, but if you had to choose 10 or 15? Well, let's put it this way.
Could you put both, on the ballot?
I think that
Or
makes
is
it a little, I think that's
I
what
mean,
makes it a little
you
more.
could
Who's putting it on the
Okay.
ballot?
You can frame the
well,
question
but
any way you want.
I mean, it
And the
doesn't
only,
matter.
the
There's
reason
one-
for the ballot in my mind is, and I know what you said, oh, everything will start to,
Yeah.
this is because it involves us personally, that's in the council. I think that's why it should be a ballot question as opposed to ours, 10 or 15. I say 0, but,
Right.
whatever the
So
majority.
I'm very
are,
conflicted
comfortable.
I'm
on
taking
many
this,
parts
I'm
of it.
taking this, and I haven't taken a vote yet, but
Go
from
with
what
10.
I'm hearing, it's 3-2 on putting an increase on a council's agenda item here, right? So that's,
Ballot
that's,
question, you mean?
well, no, I'm taking it as increase. So
So,
it's 3-2. We're just gonna say it's 3-2,
Oh.
right? I haven't taken that vote yet,
Yeah.
right? It's 3-2 that we support a increase. 3-4, 2 no, right? Based upon what everybody just said here. Now,
how
that's,
much?
that's the key. Right now, we just passed it because,
Well, we didn't, but yes.
yes, so if you had to choose a dollar amount, would it be 10 or 15?
So I'm very conflicted on all of this because there's a lot of different parts to this one simple overall question. Although I oppose it, seeing that it's been 40+ years since it was changed, I would tend to go for the 15,000. I still oppose it, But if we're gonna visit this once every 40 years,
Yeah.
then maybe that's the way to go.
If you're gonna visit it in 40 years,
Well,
good for you.
I won't be
Yes, yeah,
visiting it.
yeah.
Maybe as a,
Yeah.
as a
I'm still
voter,
here in
All right,
40
wait,
years.
wow, good for you.
Dave will be here. We all know
No,
that.
that's gonna put me at 90.
So I'm not, I'm saying maybe not.
So the question was 10 or 15? I would say 15,
Mary Beth?
but I still say no.
I still say no as well, so under the theory that we won't go for another 40 years, I don't object to 15 if we're gonna put it up.
Jay?
Yeah, I mean, we're sending it, we're not the ones that are gonna have to decide, somebody else, if the public decides
Are
that
you
that's.
concerned that
I
that would
think-
make a difference with the voters?
I don't think I don't think
I'm
that's gonna
asking
make,
you,
I
you know,
don't
I
think,
know
I
you
don't think
said
it's gonna
10.
make a difference, it's either, I don't think,
Yes or no? I mean, the dollar amount, I don't think.
So
Well, unless.
Well,
it was
not with that
100,000.
amount.
What you're doing
what is your
tonight
next
just
question?
setting up your budget.
That's
So
what I
if
want.
it happens to
That's my
fail,
only question.
That's your only
you don't have to
question.
worry about the
Why-
budget.
why
So
would
about the ballot
Me personally,
versus non-ballot?
I was looking at percentage of increase, but that's, I mean, it's hard when the salary is, when the salary is so low, no matter what increase,
Right.
a 1,000 is a 20%,
you know what?
2 is 40, and
The only thing, and I don't know that I have it with me. Sarah, you did quite a bit of work for us and you shared it with us. I didn't think ours were way out of whack compared to, and maybe I saw, you
Yeah, I
guys
think
saw
we were
something
ranked
different.
7 from the
Yeah, I
highest.
mean, we weren't, it wasn't like we were at the bottom of the line, so that concerns me as well, and
But then Dave brought up the point that some of those communities have one meeting a month and it's different and all that.
they got healthcare. There's some communities I know, was it Warwick,
Not
healthcare.
apples to apples.
They get 10% of what the mayor makes, that's, it all depends on what community. Coventry, I mean, they meet once a month. Right now, they're meeting over a pond. That should be pretty full by now, but, they meet once a month, twice, they meet twice. So, again, I was questioning, I know Jay had Sarah look into it. With the numbers itself, our surrounding communities, Coventry's getting less, but Cranston and Warwick are getting more. Warwick's getting 10% of the mayor's salary, so, in healthcare. So that's a pretty lucrative council position in Warwick. And I don't want, and trust me, I don't want healthcare. And I told you before, I've been on this council where other council members have asked for a pension. I did not support that, and I would not support that. I've always supported some sort of increase, whether it was a 10%, 20%, whatever it was. But during those tough times of going through the pension, and we're still in those tough times, but going through employees with 5 years, contracts with 5 years with no pay increase, I was not going to sit there and support any council member who wanted a pension or whatever it may have been at the time. Now I have a different outlook at it. That, and that's why I said, let the voters decide. They put us here. Yes, they depend on us to make the right decisions up here. But again, it's awkward asking for a raise in the position. So to solve that awkwardness on my end, I think putting on a ballot, just saying, do you support paying increase, we gotta word it properly, but increase to council salary from 5,000 to 8,000. I think 5,000 to 7,000 sounds better than 5,000 to 8,000, but that's another whole story.
7,999.
Yeah, well, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse all night on this one. I mean, I think we're all in agreement.
No, we're not.
But again, you got two separate issues. If you want to budget it in, you can make the changes now. And then if the question doesn't pass, you don't have to
Have a
worry about the
surplus.
budgetary.
Yeah,
line.
right.
So I need a motion to increase council line item payroll from 26,000 to 41,000.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
3-2. Now ballot question item.
Do we need to do a motion to change the percent in the wastewater treatment, schedule?
Wouldn't that be in the wastewater it's in the revenue here.
I would have to bump up the revenue. I can tell you how much more we would need to bump it up. if you want to vote on that, and then it's based on the fact.
Okay, tell
um,
us.
So it would be $6,029 more from what we already proposed. And we would be increasing the revenue.
And that,
Revenue.
the revenue from sewer department to town council.
So it'd be a $9,000 hit, if you will.
Correct.
Yes.
Say that again?
$9,000 additional expense to the town because the sewer's going to pick up 6,000. Rough numbers.
Right. And I think even if this doesn't go through, based on
20%, yeah.
what we do as a sewer commission,
Yeah.
which when you compare to other communities, they don't have this. I think that should happen anyway, regardless of if this increase or whatever you want to call it, raise or whatever. If this happens or not, I think that should still come out of the sewer.
You think it should be 20% for
I
the
do.
town council?
I
Yeah,
do,
that's fine.
based on position.
You want to throw out that figure one more time?
$1,029.
I would need a motion to adjust that line item.
I would make the motion to adjust that line.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else?
I have one more.
Well, you didn't decide the ballot situation, right?
So, yeah, we probably have to discuss that. To have it as a ballot item?
That's not on your agenda tonight. Yeah, if you'd have to put that on your agenda regarding a change in the charter, and then discuss it at that point in time. It's not on your agenda tonight.
Okay. Even if it's public hearing?
Public hearing, but it's not.
Related to the-
There's two components of this. You're talking about your budget and just the dollars and cents. Whether you use the money, if it happens to pass, it's still a separate item. I mean,
So can we put that on for the second public hearing?
yeah, yes, you can add that because all you want to do is make sure by counting backwards, there's enough time to get the question to the Secretary of State for the all-day referendum.
Which we can work on now. Yeah.
That,
6029 is the number, right?
What else, Jack?
I have one more, and I've been conflicted with this since our last meeting, and it's bothered me. I didn't want to say anything, but it's bothering me a lot. And only because I feel that I probably have a different perspective than anybody else up here with this, the seasonal events line. I know it's new, and I 100% believe in the concept. I do this for a living. I've done this for a living for many, many years, over 25 years. And I'm trying to justify $23,000 and I can't. I think that's, with events, I've always been taught this, it should, and I believe in this, should be low cost, no cost to the taxpayers. And when I ran for council at first, it's one of the things that I kind of brought to the table was we didn't have anything in town. So that's what I know. That's what I'm good at. It's in addition to the regular council stuff, so I don't count it. But when we've done, like, I'll use the egg hunt as an example. I mean, it's zero cost to the taxpayers. Only because I put the work in, my family put the work into, we use connections. In the first year we did it, we didn't have Belize. We didn't have that big check. So I solicited and we used connections. I mean, Tim gave money, I believe it was $100. And we got a lot of $100 donations or sponsorships for this event. And whatever I didn't get, I took out of my own pocket. I'm not asking anybody to do that, but because I wanted to make it work. And there's a lot of work involved in these. And I don't think it should come, if it's zero cost to the taxpayer, then I don't think we should put it in the budget. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have it. So I'm thinking if this is something we want to do, which to do all that's proposed, and I'm only going by what's on paper, which isn't a lot. I think the money needs to be raised and there's sponsors out there that will take them on. And to be honest, they don't cost a hell of a lot to put on a really good event. And I do, if has anybody looked into 1721 yet? about what it, if we could find any language about what it's used for?
There is a document out there. I can send it to you. I can never find it like quickly. but
Okay.
There is a document out there that explains what you can use.
And I haven't seen it, but, so without having seen it, I'm thinking that if events gonna be held in parks, which they typically are, and for recreation purposes, which is what 1721 money, I believe, has come in from, then we can dip into 1721 money if we use things over and over again. So it wouldn't be to buy cookies or pay for people. But if we were getting like banners or something, or major decorations that could be used in the parks over and over again, it's just, to me, that's the same thing as what we're doing now. It's swings, it's slides, it's other apparatus we put in parks that'll be used over and over again. So it's more like, kind of like the capital type things, just lesser money. And it won't be a ton coming out of 1721, but I believe it could be, everything could come out of there. And I couldn't spend $23,000 on all this. I'd have a very difficult time.
Is there another number you could justify?
I'm thinking a couple thousand as seed money. We get, so there's $7,000 put in there for summer concerts, but that's already sponsored by Centerville Bank. Thank you, Centerville Bank. And that's $7,000 is a lot. So when that's included in that 23,000, so it's almost like double dipping. So right there, you can cut it to 16. So my thing is a couple of thousand and we can make a lot work. So, and staff are already paid out of the budget. So that's what I do. I do this all the time. So that's just my rationale for the whole thing. Again, not knocking the concept. I think it's a good idea. Every community does it. So.
Laurie, you want to speak on that?
So yes, the summer concerts are sponsored by Centerville Bank. I write a grant every year. We get the money, we spend the money. I believe that, the bands that have come are wonderful. I believe that we could have maybe a few more concerts with bigger followings that could come, that I think that would help immensely throughout the community, whether it's restaurants, gas stations, little stores, whatever it is. They could come. I do go to, and I'm sure that you've been through them throughout the years, the recreation meetings, when you do go there and you are picking the bands and all these little events that you have throughout your communities and whatnot. And I will say that I am probably the only one that does not have a budget when I do go there for these things. So, my idea for this, again, and I said it last meeting, that I'm still going to continue to do the things that I do, that I will go out and I will ask people. And, a few years back, I did go to the recreation board meeting. I did ask for help to help get gift cards and help do that. And, I do ask people constantly to help. I mean, you're all very well aware that I have asked you on numerous occasions to donate to some sort of something within the community. I think a few of you might even gotten a baseball thing tonight.
That's what I'm showing.
So, I just feel that I play dual roles with the Civic Center, with being the president of the Wizards Association, and also putting on these community events that, as I said before, I walk into places and I feel like sometimes people are like, oh God, here she comes again. She wants something. So again, I have no problem whatsoever. I will continue to ask. If you say $0, you say $5, like whatever it is, like I'm gonna just continue to do the things that I do. I do believe that we have a great community. I think that it's wonderful to have these events. There's details that are needed. There's things that are actually needed for these events that do take place. The same people don't want to continuously donate hot chocolate. I don't know what kind of situation they are financially with their business, but if I continuously keep going to them and say, can you donate the hot chocolate? Can you donate the bouncy house? Can you do that? At some point they're going to, just get sick of me asking. So, anyone else that wants to come and help me ask for all these things, all for you. Come, help,
Well, I
like
mean-
whatever you want to do, you know, I mean, I'm big in asking anyone. I mean, you know that I call you constantly for gift cards and,
What if,
you know.
what if we came up with a number? I mean, coming after what we just said, we wanted to give the town council a raise and then said we don't want to give money for this. I just feel, I don't know. Maybe if we lower it to a certain amount, fine. I mean, I know those numbers were kind of numbers that you've never
Yeah,
really
I
had
mean,
a
I think
budget, so
about,
I mean,
like,
maybe if we,
details And like, you know, I kind of went through here and, you know, I figured out, you know, say, for example, like I figured out the Winterfest, like I,
was the exact
Figure
total
it out.
22.
it came out to
23?
23. Yep. Like I figured out for a bouncy house, the lights, the games that we
I,
have.
I still think though, there are people, like, I'm not saying we shouldn't give you something for this, but I still think that.
Oh, yeah.
You should,
no,
I mean, I know,
absolutely.
I still think you will, if you can get it
If I can get it, I'm gonna
donated, you're
get
gonna
it.
get
I
it
mean,
donated.
and who's to say that I'm even gonna spend all 23,000? I'm still going to continue to do the things that I asked, like.
But
when I
that's,
come
that's
to
the
you.
issue. It's in the operating budget. So, and I'm used to doing things different. I'm used to coming before a board like us with a different type of presentation. I'm used to having to come with, if I ask for 23,000, you're gonna know where that 23,000 is going. So, but to go back on what you just said, Jay, as far as the other item on the agenda,
Yeah.
I'm not comparing one versus another.
No, I
I'm
know. you're
looking
not-
at its position,
I know.
and I'm looking at this position as you're coming before us at the last meeting with a brief conversation and a piece of paper in hand which said the name of the event and the amount for the event, which doing this all day, every day, I don't see where these numbers jive. So, and to your response about block booking, I ran it for the state for 10 years. So I'm very familiar with block booking and the bands and how it
You
works.
know how much they are.
It-
So that 6,000 does not get me very far.
We just do things differently, that's all.
I just
Because I've
want you
done a lot
to,
with less. So that's where I'm trying to find, and that's where the work gets involved. And there's a lot of work and a lot of time. So if there's a lot, all that time spent, and you're looking, I mean, I would equivalent, this would be equivalent to me for like 10 hours a week, you know, in addition to what you already do. So this is a huge commitment. So I'm not asking where that money, where that time is coming from, but I just can't, as a councilman, sit here and say, here's 23 grand out of the operating budget to go and do all these when I do this a lot for less, a lot less. So I can't justify that. If you guys want to approve it, that's up to you. But, and again, this is not anything to do with the other previous item.
No, I don't think it's still optics. I'm not, I was in favor of the other one. I'm also in favor of this one, but maybe if we maybe come to some kind of a middle ground, I don't know, we haven't, Mark or Mary Beth, but maybe if we come to some kind of a middle ground and we cut it in half and at least you have somebody to start with it.
But I think that still should come out of 1721.
the only thing that I just want to bring up, because I didn't think of it when you said it, until you said it, was overtime. Okay, we budgeted overtime for parks, but I budgeted that for normal overtime, not the extras. So you're probably looking at, no, you have to have 2 guys for each event. Christmas trees, we end up having 4, so you're probably looking at another $35,000 to $4,000 overtime for those guys, for these events, for the whole season.
Would that come out of your overtime budget in parks?
But I didn't budget for the extra events. I only budgeted it for my winter snow plowing and for my normal parks and recs as far as staying after for fields, guys not being able to come in on a Saturday, budgeting in for that overtime for sick. This wasn't a thought at the time when the budget was done, so.
So why would you, I'm just curious.
So my point is, we have a bad winter. I'm over on overtime for my parks department, plus you got guys calling in sick, you know, vacations, all that. So on a Saturday, I gotta pay a guy from overtime to work 8 hours on a Saturday, 8 hours at time and a half, or 8 hours on a Sunday,
To do what?
to work,
To do what though?
to do their normal day's work. So in other words, you work Saturday, you call in
Have to
sick.
do with this though, I'm just,
My point is, all these guys, I have to have guys here,
These events.
I have to have
We need
parks guys there.
for what?
You're not gonna get them to volunteer.
But, yeah, but what do you need them for?
The Christmas tree event, they hauled Christmas trees, they lugged Christmas trees, they moved Christmas trees to the fire for the chief. They did all that stuff. The summer concerts, they're there picking up trash when people throw the trash all over the ground. They're picking up the trash barrels. They're locking up the gazebo at the end of the night because we can't leave it open. They have to be there till, so they're working from 3 o'clock till 9 o'clock at night because they have to lock up the gazebo. They have to shut the lights off. They have to shut the bathrooms. They have to lock the bathroom. They have to pick up the trash, empty the trashes because you can't leave them there. We know that. Can't be done.
So that's budgeted though.
Huh?
Those current things that they do, they have
Well,
done.
not for the extras.
Nope, but the
Covering
Centerville.
Yeah, yes,
That's
yes.
covered, all right.
Yeah, I just want to bring that to your attention that, you know, there is, I know you say there isn't much of a cost and maybe on some things there isn't, but overtime, you're not going to get them to volunteer.
I'm not
That's for
asking to
sure.
volunteer. Again, I
That's all I wanted to
I
say.
I just have done it a lot differently for a lot less money.
And
And I don't know, I think I know what I'm doing, but that's up to you guys. I'm not trying to cut it. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't have it at all. But there's ways to do it, to do a good event to make it more efficient, that's all.
I
So,
think the plan would be for that, those funds as well would be kind of like capital where we transfer it into a special revenue fund so that it carries forward. So maybe next year, she might not need 23,000, maybe next year, may only need 15. That was the thought process. I mean, it was put in general government as a line item, but like capital gets transferred into a special
Right.
revenue fund. So the idea with this type of line item would be the same. Set up the fund.
And you never know, like someone could come across and be like, you know what, I really enjoy the Winter Festival every year. I might give you $10,000 to do it. And then I don't need that $2,000 to do it. You know, I mean, again, this is more or less of a cushion, but I'm still gonna do the same things that I do, but to make sure that we do have these things within our community. Like, we really need to make sure that we have fun things within our community. Like, it can't just be stagnant. Like, we need the community to come out. I mean, your event the other day was amazing. Like, it was nice to see all those kids that came out and whatnot. I mean, those are great things, and it's a great way for them to come and make friends, and, you know, maybe the parents are making friends, and who knows? You know, I mean, I just think that not having these things when all the other.
it's not about not
communities do.
having them though. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I didn't say that. I said a few times, I believe in the concept and they should happen. But, you know, if you're comparing the icon, it's 0%, zero for the cost to the taxpayer. You know, that's all I'm saying about it.
And thus
So-
far, these have been zero to the taxpayer. I mean, I just want to continue to keep making them so that they don't go away. And as I said, we might not spend a dime of that $23,000. We might spend all of it. Like, who knows who's going to donate at the time and what their financial situation is when these events come about.
So I would want to know more about what we can use the 1721 funds before I vote on this.
It's in the subdivision, rec, but it basically says if payments in lieu of land dedication are required, they must be kept in a restricted account and shall only be spent for the intended purpose of providing open space, conservation, park and recreational facilities. So it doesn't say anything there about events or shows or concerts or anything.
So what do you
like
mean what does that mean by facilities though?
that. I would say infrastructure. So for example, if you wanted to purchase a swing set or a set of swing sets for all the parks and rec, money could be used for that. I don't think you could have it for an event.
That's kind of what you were saying earlier is reusable items.
Yeah, I'm thinking a little bit different. I'm thinking like, you know, if you want to get a bounce house or something, we couldn't do it for that because it's going away. But if we want to get something like decorations that you would put up at a park that would stay up and then be taken down, but use year after year. That's how I would interpret 1721.
Well, that's a good interpretation. I don't know.
And we can disagree with it,
Right,
but
I would say-
that would be my
I would
interpretation.
think you'd be more safe.
And I don't think anybody would fight it.
With a permanent structure, as far as putting up, say, decorative lights at the holiday season. I don't know if you really consider those a permanent
Well, if
structure.
you use them year after year, or you keep them up
He
beyond the
didn't straight-
I
season.
just say, listen, I appreciate the attempt.
I
but
could argue all day long with it.
Right.
Right.
But you're gonna have to
And I'm
change-
right and you're wrong.
You're gonna have to
Okay.
change the bulbs, though,
Don't take
right?
them down.
What's that?
Have to change the bulbs,
I don't know. It depends. Depends how strong the bulbs are, right?
LEDs.
Right? We just put lights up at the fields that'll
All right.
last beyond us, so.
All right, so we got this 1721 somewhat down. The only thing I could say at this point is there's $23,000 on the table. If anybody has a suggestion or a motion, please make.
Well, I'm saying because it's in the operating budget that I can't in good conscience approve $23,000 for this. So if you're looking for a number, based on what we already do with a lot of these and the $7,000 from Central Bank, I would say in the operating budget, I would say $3,000.
What is that again?
And I'm just thinking of a number, 3,000.
Is
And I think you can go a lot with that.
Al Fiore is on. He'd like to speak on the 1721.
Yeah, Dave, when that was originally put into the subdivision regulations, the basic purpose of it was prior to that, if a developer came in, they were required to set aside parcels of real estate for recreation purposes in the development. And that we ran, nobody wanted to do that. So I don't know who it was that came up with this, but this was a plan to give them another way to do it. Instead of donating or instead of dedicating land, which eventually became the town's problem, we had developers that would want to give us the wetlands. So instead of doing that, we created the 1721 so that we would be able to get the recreation, even though it may not be in that particular development.
Yeah, and obviously, based upon that, that's also, they might have gave us the wetlands, but they also might have gave us another whole buildable lot, which ultimately affects their bottom line. So that's probably why somebody came up with these fees, and then the town could use it for parks and rec, open space. And I think that's probably why some of that came in fruition. Thank you, Al.
So I think this is actually something, I applaud Laura's passion for the whole thing. And I agree that we should have as many events as we can for all the people of West Warwick. So I can't tell you whether $23,000 is enough or not. The fact that Jeff just said overtime, so there's going to be some cost to those events because he hasn't accounted for that. But just because I know you're very frugal, Lori, maybe first year out, if we did something like 12,500, and my guess is you wouldn't spend all that either, but we would roll it, as Kristen suggested, to the following year. So I guess I would make a motion that we reduce the amount to 12,500.
Yeah, I like that amount. Second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I can't. I'm opposed.
Ayes have it.
And for the record, I'm not opposed to the concept
And we
at
know
all.
that. We,
No,
we,
you made that clear.
absolutely, absolutely.
Is that it? That's your last item?
That's it.
Mark, I know it's your first
Wow.
budget season.
After that, Jay made me
Like
feel like
it.
I didn't do my homework, even though I read through this thing a dozen times. Honestly, I don't have anything, of concern. I think Jay brought up some good points. Although it is new to me, I think I read through it enough where if there was something glaring, I would certainly bring it in front of everybody, but I don't have anything at this time.
Mary Beth?
I'm good.
Jay? Me personally, anything I'm gonna say is gonna add money, so unfortunately. I know and I'm gonna throw it out there again. We have an opportunity right now. We can always go down and talk to Bill's Pizza and look at that fire station. I still say Station 2 is not a pleasant place to work, very tight quarters. Even our trucks are very tight to come in and out of. We've seen that. You know, and I'm still a proponent of trying to purchase this Phoenix station that's in half of Coventry, half of West Warwick.
Have those plans go away to develop that?
Don't know. Everything's still on the table. Things can be talked about. That's just my opinion, but again, it's gonna add, so I'm not going to add that to the budget.
I think that's a long-term conversation we should have, especially as we're talking about collective bargaining and where houses are.
They would have to go on a ballot though, right? On the ballot? Or for
Buy
the
something.
voters?
Yes, so.
So now in November?
Yeah, I mean, so that's not, I don't think we could tackle this in the budget
No,
right
I
this
know,
second,
that's-
but I think it's a very valid point that we should have the conversation.
You know, I looked at a couple of other items, you know, and again, Chief has assured me that he can work within his budget with his overtime. I still say, you know, we get close to that line every year, but we go over that line, on the fire side. But again, that increases the budget, so I know probably nobody's gonna be in favor for that anyway, so, you know, it's just, other than that, that's all I have. You know, major items, but I'm not in favor of adding anything else to the budget.
Can I bring up one more thing?
Sure.
And this isn't a budget line, but I guess this is where we have to talk about it, because it will affect the budget, is to increase in the senior exemption, which we've already gone through the process of everything.
Have we got an
And-
update on that?
Yeah, my understanding is that's been held for further study.
Really?
Al, do you have, is Al still on?
Because I had the impression that it went through the state and they just had to vote on it. And last night, I haven't checked, but last I knew was that was, still had to be voted on, but it went through the major hurdles, so.
Again, I asked the question, and I think actually in the things that Mark sends us, the updates he sends us, I think it does say held for further study.
I have not reviewed this week's. I review them every week. I've not reviewed it. But as of last week, a quick glance at the piece of legislation, they included the original bill was for West Warwick. They included other communities. And the last note I got on legislative update was referred for further study. Tim, I think you can better address what that means. I have an opinion, but
It could mean a lot of things. One, it could mean that it's dead or dead on arrival, but if there was such a mind to amend it, because it's got obviously a fiscal note on it, these are the types of things that kind of work their way through the system slowly, but it probably will be voted on by both the House and the Senate, only because the communities want it. Normally the House and Senate does not get in the way of enabling legislation for local communities. So it just might be an issue of time. A lot of things are going to start happening after the April vacation because you've got a short period of time before they're going to adjourn for the summer because it is an election year. So I would figure something happening probably after the April vacation and probably during the month of May. That's all I can tell you.
I will review the legislative update tomorrow and send a report out to you.
Thank you.
Al.
Also, we can touch base with the League of Cities and Towns and see what inkling they're getting that it's gonna either be passed or it's gonna be held up for some reason.
Sally, you got a comment?
Well, I think regardless of what the state does, you still have to do it at this level. So I think anything you're planning on wanting to do, you should do.
Kristen, do you have anything worked in this budget already?
I had gone over some of the projected increases. And it was approximately 8 cents on the tax rate.
So just to clarify, you're saying 8 cents on the tax rate. Obviously, it would help seniors, but everybody else would see an 8 cent tax increase per thousand.
Yes.
And that was,
Without the already tax increase that we're proposing now,
Correct.
about 2%.
And that was based on increasing the exemption line by $150,000.
Right.
So we kind of did it working backwards. The councilman had suggested starting small, if you will, 150,000, and we worked backwards to figure out what effect that would have on an assumption on who would apply, those that have already applied, and potentially, new applicants
What is
based
the
on the
average
changes.
median home in West Warwick? 300?
I'd say under 300, right? Using the values from the last revaluation, it was around 250, 260.
So I'm gonna throw 300 out just for a roundabout number, 8 cents per thousand. That's a $240 increase to the non-senior citizens by giving the seniors the discount.
Is this seniors only or is this veterans as well?
We would still can discuss that either way, but if you add further deduction, right now seniors have a deduction, veterans have a deduction, a credit per se, right? So it's based on a percentage. And, but again, if you propose $150,000 further to go to the seniors, that entails 200, correct me if I'm wrong here, so $240 on average on $300,000 home, 8 cents per
The
thousand.
increase, yeah.
Common 8 times 3, 24. So 240 per household. That we've, and that doesn't include this 2%, which, can you give me a breakdown of the 2%?
Oh,
per
no,
household?
no, yes, I included that. I used the higher tax rate with the 2 point
Oh, to figure
rate,
out.
right. It was like around 1875, 1876, and I added 8 cents to that to get that in.
No, your number, but
Yeah,
what is your
so
number
it-
now at 2% without his 8 cents? On an average household?
What is it now?
It was a 50 cents. Going from 1832 to 1875 for single family homes, that's 50 cent per thousand.
Be about a 1.9% increase. So if I added, just say to residential, another 150,000 in exemptions. In value, right? It's not value.
In money, 150,000 in money. Be 8 million in value.
Off the net levy, the net levy.
I did on a 250. The number now was 4,600. With the 2% increase, it was going to plus 115. And with the exemption, it will go up 135.
Yeah, you have to tell me what you just said.
Yeah,
Sal.
because
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
numbers
you
don't
would
add
just
up.
switch, yeah.
Yeah,
So
two
it's either-
hundred and $50,000 home
Yeah.
at 1832 is 4580
32
in
is the
taxes.
tax rate.
The tax
correct.
rate,
Yep,
okay. So if we increase the tax rate by 2%,
yep,
it goes up to 1878.
okay.
That means a tax of increase of $115 with that added 50 cents per thousand.
And then you'll want to add 8
Right, and
cents
then if
on
we
top
add
of
8
that.
cents on top of that, it go up another $20 on top of that.
You're doing 300, I think that's closer.
We're not,
No,
we're not spreading it just over personal property, right? I mean, just over.
just over the
residential.
class, the RP, the residential class. That's where you have 1,900 exemptions on that. If you wanted to spread it out among all the other categories, we could do that, but then the numbers they wouldn't change much, but.
So you're 8 cents per thousand. It's actually not 240
But
then.
6 cents. Right now, based on all the
Yeah,
updated values,
yeah.
about, just for residential's, it would be 6 cents more per thousand. So on a
On this
three,
tax increase, 1.9% tax increase.
so it, well, that would bring the residential up to 2.25. I would have to do 2.25 if we
If
added
we add-
150,000.
Take 150 out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So 300 times point, oh, 6 cents per thousand. Like, you know.
So I just want to point out, 300, I don't care what anybody says, you look at the average median in this town, it's about 300,000. And I'm using easy numbers. With the increase you have here, it'd be about a $750 increase. If you, or is it 75? Am I putting the wrong zero
I
in?
think it's 7.
75? Because I might be adding one more zero.
The 6 cents is $18.
So on a $300,000 house, based on a 2.25%, you're talking average household will be $75 per year.
More in total with,
Total.
in total. All right, so if 300
At
was
115 to 250,000.
32, that's 13 times 32 is 596. 300 times 18.73. I got $123. I think we would have to, it would have to be more exact with which properties and stuff like that. To
But
figure
you had
that out.
$120 something. I said 115, so we're in the,
For both. Yeah, I took that, last year's tax rate, times a $300,000 house, the 1873.
Yep.
And the difference is $123.
Proposed tax rate again, 1873? Kristen, proposed tax rate again? 18 what?
73.
And the other one's 18,
32.
no,
Before, without the.
right now, 1832.
32.
Oh,
76, you said?
And the 73 was with the 150,000?
yes.
So not to review this whole thing again, but we're at a 2% tax increase coming into tonight. And we just made some changes, which I know are minimal, but we made some changes here. Which probably won't affect that 2% a hell of a lot.
I
Correct,
figured
or-
if all our changes prior to it, the 150 would bring it down to like a 1.9%.
Okay, so
increase.
if we add the 150, what are we, 225?
So the other categories would stay at 1.9 and residential would go to 2.25.
Okay, so again, for discussion purposes here, that's why we're here. What if we spread this out throughout the town?
Well, that is,
And- That is spread through that's
well, I mean, you mean to the apartments and the
everything,
commercial and all that?
everything. Because I mean, this exemption really, I'm looking at it this way. It's a limited exemption for a limited group. But we're all gonna be there. So the people who, and it's not for anybody that is just a certain age, correct, Sal?
Yeah,
This
it is.
exemption.
65 and
65,
but-
and that's it. You
Right,
get
but
it.
but
You
it's-
get it.
Right, but it's not, so if I'm 65 and I want to buy a house in West Warwick, will I get this exemption?
Yes,
Yeah.
There's no criteria, you have to be here
No.
for so long.
we have to live there. You have to live in the house. There's no time period that you have to live. You live there on December 31st and you own the property,
Okay.
you get the exemption.
Yeah, that's, and there's no income qualifications, which I think
There's a
I-
separate exemption
that's a
for that.
separate exemption,
Exemption.
but to do,
No, all right.
as someone who's getting pretty close to 65, I'm not sure that that's, yeah, I am, so, yes.
So what do you want to do? I think we should give something.
Yeah, I go to
Um,
225, I would not.
No, I don't
agree
want to
with-
go to two.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go above 2. I don't know how you figure that out, but I wouldn't go, we just worked hard to get to 2.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I do still feel that the seniors should get something.
And that number would bring in, it would save them around 75, another $75 on top of what the savings already are.
Yeah, and the average $300,000 home will see a $123 increase, I think,
Mhm.
based off your number.
Yep.
So $123 increase.
Would be 105 if it's dated to 1.9. But now. keep
But
in
I
mind-
don't know if any of you have been looking on our website. I find very little houses for under 300,000.
No.
I see close to 4 and 5. You know. And so then, you look at a $400,000 house and seeing that 2.5% increase. Everybody just went through their reevaluation, was it a year and a half ago? Everybody was
Almost
shell
3
shocked.
years ago.
See, it is almost.
Almost.
And we're at 65% of value.
So if we drop the number to 100 instead of 150.
Mm, 2.1.
It would be like a 2 cent difference. So it would be from a 6 cent difference to a 4 cent.
And what would that mean as far as a,
The tax rate would be, still be over 2.
Still be about 2.1.
It would be a difference of $5.
$5?
I know, the 300,000.
But what's that in tax increase?
It would be
2.1.
71, yep, 2.15. And keep in mind though, for purposes of what we approve and send to the voters, with the dollar line, it's an appropriation for the
Right.
dollar amount.
Right.
Setting the tax rate comes later. I know we want to have it out there, what we're doing,
Correct.
but as far as,
That's not what gets voted on.
exactly.
Right.
Okay.
But most people say, what's the tax?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah.
No, I agree. And too, so these values are subject to change too, still, we're not solidified yet.
Correct.
And we could talk about it further at our
At the
next,
next one, but
our next
yeah,
hearing.
Yeah,
We can solidify some more numbers.
I just feel that we're all gonna be there someday, and I think it shows in good faith that we're still thinking about the seniors who kind of, built the community, that's all. So taking care of everybody else, infrastructure and lighting, all that.
Anything else from council? Again, this is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public on the budget? Just come on up, state your name and address for the record.
Steve, Tiffany Avenue in West Warwick.
How you doing?
Myself and my wife are both over 65. I mean, yeah, over 65. What happens if we hadn't had the exemption? Do they go back to age 65?
Say it again?
We've owned the house for 27 years.
Yep.
So we don't think we got an exemption for our age. If we bring it to their attention, do they go back to age 65?
Not
no,
retroactive.
it's prospective.
Is that the town or us?
That would be yours.
You have to
You have
file
to
by
file that
March
paperwork.
15th. By
Uh,
March 15th, the paperwork has to be filed.
Thank you.
Yes.
And if you want, you can give Sal your number, the gentleman right there with the glasses. Not the guy coming up, the guy in the couple of rows back.
Different guy.
You can give him your name and address and he can work with you and get you the paperwork.
Good evening, Tom Oates, 6 Colonial Way. Don't want anyone throwing rocks. We're talking about this increase in salary for the council. This room's filled with, town employees, department heads, they make their living here. Everybody's scrapping. We look at it, we're gonna give our kid a hamburger tonight, or can we splurge and get him a slice of cheese on it? It's bad out there. Everything, fuel, electricity, everything is going absolutely haywire. Then I look at the council. You guys haven't had a move in 40 years. You lost your medical insurance and all of these things. How many hours would you say you put in in this chamber? Now, my long-winded crap all these years extends these meetings by quite some time. Lock horns with you guys plenty of times. Last night, actually all day yesterday, I had Miss Williamson texting and phone calls and pictures and this and that. And she's, after her long day at work, she goes to the polls. She got to listen to me for another 20 minutes. I mean, that's town business. I think about all the hours that you guys put in for this absolutely thankless job. I do hope that the taxpayers believe that you guys are entitled to compensation for all the hours that you put in. And now you look at it in what are we, 2022 now? No, 24.
Wow.
And you go back 40 years ago, you were doing one meeting a month, things were simple. The complication in life today and the extended hours that you guys put in, I personally believe, even though everybody else is scrapping for nickels and dimes, making ends meet, I look at the hours, just from my standpoint, what you guys do, out of this chamber. I mean, I know you guys are all at the end of the phone. If someone needs something, you jump on it. You got to consider that time away from your family. And I do think you're more than entitled to this raise that you're talking about. It's just, I hope that the taxpayers realize that this thankless job, the hours that you guys do put in, you should be compensated. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Any other public comment on the budget? And for the record, I know we didn't really go over anything, but the school department has come before us and asked for a 0% increase in their budget. So I know she's been sitting here patiently all night and nobody brought up anything on the schools. But again, they have come before us and asked for 0% increase over last year. All right, hearing none. This is our first public hearing. We'll have another one. What's the next date?
Next Tuesday,
The
Tuesday,
9th.
the 9th.
The 9th at 6 PM.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn second. Do you want to talk on the budget?
I had one other thing.
No, we're going on to a council agenda, so that'll be,
Oh, you're not closing up, right?
oh, we do have to go to Civic Center next, but we're
That'll
gonna
be
have our
quick.
regular council meeting following this. So give us a few minutes on that. I don't think that. So
Did we officially adjourn?
No, there was a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
opposed, ayes have it.
It's a separate meeting, correct, Sarah?
Yeah.
The Civic
Civic
Center
Center is a
sep-
separate
okay.
meeting. Yes. Here.
I got it. Thank you.
Right, you're good.
Oh, sorry, not throwing that at you.
All right, meeting call to order is Wednesday, April 3rd.
Yep.
It is now 7:49 PM. Town Council going over West Warwick Civic Center's budget.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Councilman Dennison,
Here.
Councilman Lichardi.
Here.
Councilman Messier.
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. Public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2025 West Warwick Civic Center enterprise budget.
Who wants to start? Mark, Lori?
I would have went with there's nothing new.
All right, hi again.
Hi, Lori.
Nothing has changed since last week when I did the first meeting. Everything's basically the same. Again, this is more of a guideline versus an actual budget. As long as my revenues exceed my expenses, I'm great. So
Basically, Civic Center, 774,837 for expenses. And revenues, 774,837. Is that correct?
Balance.
Balanced budget, correct?
balance.
Has to be.
yeah.
Yep.
Any questions for Lori? Any public discussion on the Civic Center? None? Hearing none? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And we'll get right into our council meeting. Thank you, Lori. Could have went first. Just kidding. I wanted you to stick around. Let me know when you're ready. All right, meeting call to order. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd. It is now 7:52 PM. Town Council meeting in the Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island.
Roll call. Councilman Dennison,
Here.
Councilman Lichardi.
Here.
Councilman Messier.
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
And Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. Consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from the March 18th budget workshop, March 18th executive session, March 19th regular town council meeting, March 19th executive session, and March 25th budget workshop.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Public hearing, request from James and Ashley Rita for abandonment of a portion of Tiffany Avenue and continuation of public hearing until May 7th, 2026.
Move the item.
Yep. Give us 1 second. I got moved and seconded, and here's the attorney represent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board is aware from the agenda, there was a public hearing which was noticed to the abutters and published 3 times in the appropriate newspaper giving notice of this meeting. However, during the interim from our last meeting until today, the solicitor for zoning and planning, Al DiFiore, contacted me and had a concern about how this lot was created. I think maybe the council had an inkling of this the last time we met, but Mr. Goslin and I ended up talking about the access and frontage for the other lot affected by this street abandonment and not the lot in question, 57 Mary Avenue. After discussing this with Mr. DiFiore, we have reached an agreement that the proper path is for me to go to zoning first and have the lot frontage established for 57 Mary Avenue on Mary Avenue, as opposed to when it was originally created, when the lot frontage was on Tiffany Avenue. So that I'd ask leave from the council to continue this public hearing to a date certain, May 7th, 2024, on the regular council agenda, to give me an opportunity to notice and publish a zoning hearing for April 24th, 2024, before the West Warwick zoning board.
When's that going to be? April what?
April 24th.
Attorney Cronin, would you have to restart the process after you finished up?
No, I think because he said a date
No,
certain.
no. I'm just asking a question because you don't know what's going to happen at the zoning board.
If,
If the zoning board happens to deny your request for relief, you wouldn't come back here, correct?
I would not come back in.
So my question is simply this, if you have to go to the zoning board after the discussion you had, would you have to start the process that you began the last time all over again?
So, it's an excellent question, Mr. Williamson. I am, positive. I feel positive about my chances before the zoning board.
Right.
It's an administrative,
That's what I'm concerned about the fact that
Yeah.
if you don't do it in the right proper order, there could be a problem procedurally at the end, but I'll go over it. And I don't know if Al's online
Yeah,
right
I
now,
think
but
Al was going to be available.
we can probably get this resolved tomorrow. So I'm not going to stand in the way of your request.
okay, thank you. Sir, I'm going to let you speak because I know you had a question. That's what you're here for tonight. Just state your name and address for the record.
Stephen Hunt, 11 Tiffany Avenue, West Warwick. And I live on the opposite side of where those lots are. We have a house that's on the dead end on there. And the water from up above all comes down like a river. And I've got it gullied out only by moving some rocks. And the only concern with that is if somebody's got to change those over there, we could have some problems with water. It just brings up only because this was sent to me.
Okay.
And it's on the opposite side. Matter of fact, I probably even own a lot that is connected to that over there.
Okay, again, it's gonna be before zoning now.
Yeah.
Which, as you heard the attorney say, things have changed on the council aspect of it. Now it has to go before zoning. So those concerns that you do have, you might want to work with either the homeowner beforehand. Guys maybe can meet and discuss.
Oh, no, I think,
And then you can also go to zoning and bring those concerns up too.
okay, but I have no problem with somebody else buying that land. It'd be good because somebody would own it and make sure it's taken care of. But I'm on the opposite side. I own my land, my house, and I own 4 lots going down to there. And it's a concern in that way. And it's also a concern, what are they if they're gonna sell those off, are they gonna try to sell off the lots on Tiffany?
So we're not looking, to
It's
be honest
being
with you, it's
abandoned.
called abandonment,
Yeah.
meaning the town would abandon that portion of the paper street.
Yeah.
So that's what they're looking to do. So there'd be no sale of land per se.
Okay.
It'd be abandonment on the town to abandon to the abutting homeowners. So one half, and keep me honest here, attorney, one half goes to one homeowner and the other half would go to the other property owner if there's a home there. I'm
It's the
not
way
sure.
that's split like that, yes.
So that's how that would go.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns on that? So we would take no action here tonight?
I believe you have to vote, to continue it
To period certain, yes.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to continue this public hearing to May 7th, 2024.
Second.
At plenty of time? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you for your concerns.
Ordinances. First reading of ordinance 2024-3, amending Appendix C traffic ordinances, handicap parking on Sunset Avenue.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moving second, discussion. Again, I think this is for St. Anthony's Church. They've requested some additional, handicap parking, in front of their church. I think the safety committee went out and reviewed it and, they've okayed it. So any questions? Jeff, you want to speak on it?
Good evening. We had already put 2 up there. They were requesting 1 more.
Yep.
We went up there, we looked at the distance. There's really no problem with putting another one up there if that's what they want. So it's, there's plenty of room from there to the corner. So, you know, it's not a problem.
Great. And they usually paint their own curb and everything for us.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Any public discussion on this ordinance? I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Business licenses, request from Not Your Average Popcorn for a one-day mobile food truck license, request from St. Anthony's Church for a Class F1 liquor license, and request from the BPOE West Warwick's Elks Lodge 1697 for a raffle license.
Move the licenses.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Any public discussion on these licenses? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
New business, discussion action, town council rules of procedure.
We need to move this if we're gonna take any action. No. Mark?
Again, Sarah spent the most time putting this together from a variety of other communities. We reviewed it together and made a couple minor changes that just made sense to the way some things were done here or some proper terminology. So it's really just open for your discussion and then hopeful eventual approval, that we can have just some more solid guidelines moving forward.
Any questions for Mark? Anybody get a chance to fully review it? Reviewing documents and documents. And I got seven new books to read over the last week too,
Oh,
so.
yeah.
I haven't, I'll be honest, I haven't read it. I was focused more on the budget, than anything else.
You wanna
Spent a lot of
continue it?
time on the budget, so I'd like to.
I mean, it's not obviously super urgent. We function without it, but it just seems like a good time, whether, I know we have to probably set a small council agenda after or before, I assume after the next budget hearing. And then our next scheduled meeting will be on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Either one of those two.
Yeah, I'm good with the next meeting in May, first meeting in May.
Or, and then, I meant the next
Yeah, the
budget
23rd.
hearing, we
Oh.
have at least one resolution to add as on a council agenda next
week. right?
next week.
I'd rather.
Yeah, we could
Put it off.
Put it off.
Yeah,
So
first week in May. Why don't we do it then? Is that all right? May 7th? It gives us a few weeks to read them.
I was gonna make a suggestion. If time really isn't of the essence and you want to go through it, you might think about having a workshop. Just need to snipe some ideas.
We don't need a workshop.
Okay.
May 7th.
I think Sarah did most of the work, and I don't think there's much to clean up.
Thank you.
No, you did a great job.
Thank you. Approval of St. Joseph's School Drama Program sponsorship in the amount of $75.
Move approval.
Second.
Moving second, discussion?
I put this on the agenda. It's just another way to get us out there as a council in support of the only Catholic school residing in town. Same thing as we do for the boosters clubs and all that, and so $75 is a full page ad too. so.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable.
Can we cut and copy and paste Mark's head on
Oh.
Mr. Bourgette's head?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea.
We're paying attention, yeah.
So, the town council picture, we went through a little lengthy process to get it processed with somebody.
Yeah, cause you added like a mullet on me or something, or some skillet. You
So-
added hair on my head.
So, yeah, we changed a little bit of landscaping on that picture. And by the time we got the new picture in, Mr. Bourgette had resigned, and now we got the new picture, and now we have you, so.
I say, we could just take a single of me and put it out there. We could do that.
Photoshop
Big
we
So-
can Photoshop you in the background.
Here's the actual question. I don't know if the individual can actually take his head and put it on somebody else's body, because it can
No,
happen.
you don't do that.
No, you can't.
No. What are you talking about?
Just put wording,
Yes,
just put wording. I think,
yes.
going
Yeah.
forward.
Oh, yeah. Behind the flag.
But we'll figure it out. Just want to point that out. We'll probably get a new picture in November, but I just don't want to pay a photographer all over again.
It's like 2024. Can we just have somebody take a picture of us with a cell phone and we give it to people? Not even to put on the wall. This one maybe not necessarily, but we
I
do a
don't think
lot
we
of
need
these.
a
How
professional. I
difficult would
don't
it be
think we
for us
need
to
a
dress up
professional
one night?
either.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, excited, we do a lot of these things. I mean, not this one, whatever you figure out, but going forward, it would take us 5 minutes before a meeting, somebody take it on a cell phone, and that way we can have an updated picture with Mark on it going forward for anything, to be honest. And
Yep.
It doesn't have to be anything
I'm not
super.
in incognito mode, so.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution authorizing $6,000 contribution to the West Warwick Assistance Agency.
Move the resolution. This is put into the budget each year. When Ray actually called and I talked to him about it, you know, there's a letter attached, talking about how many families are being served and it's continuing to grow. So they're very thankful for the $6,000.
Any comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I do have another question. I know a letter came here from me, for me, from the Patuxent River Authority. And it was in a request of 7,000. I know I went to the clerk's office and I told him to give it to Kristen. Kristen, did you get that letter? Okay, thank you. Because I know I don't want that. I just remember 6,000 last year became a headache, so. All right, next.
All right, approval of amended resolution 2024-31 for a tax abatement in the amount of $2,726.44.
Move approval.
Second.
Move in second, discussion? Hearing any? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as an alternate member for a 3-year term. Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as a regular member for a 3-year term. Tax Assessment Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy for a 3-year term. School Building Committee, architectural, engineering, construction experience needed. Tree Warden, must be a licensed arborist, and Recreation Committee, appointment to fill a vacancy for 3-year term. Public forum.
Public comment. Jeff, do you want to introduce your new assistant director? Come on up. Don't be shy. So if everybody doesn't know, Glenn did not leave the town of West Warwick. He actually went to the
He's a lead
fleet
supervisor.
maintenance supervisor. Is that what that is? Yes. So he went to fleet maintenance supervisor and we went through the hiring process of an assistant director and
Now he's here for his first 5-minute speech.
go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Kelly. I'm the new Assistant Director with the DPW. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Look forward to working with all of you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know. I can see that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff.
He brings a lot of knowledge to the table, so, you know, he'll be a good asset, a very good asset to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn again. Oh, sorry, motion to move into executive, sorry, I was rushing. Motion to move into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.